Why millions of men believe Andrew Tate.
You get school shooters, you get violence, you get rapists. Men who do not control their emotions are dangerous. If you find a man who is stoic, he's not going to hurt people. He's going to sit and think about his actions very carefully, and he's going to be a good man who protects and provides for his family. You find a man who just acts out on impulse and does whatever he feels like, you're going to find a dangerous man. Sitting here telling men to cry more and act with their feelings and it's okay to feel this way, that way, etc., and have no self-control. That is why we have the problems we have in the world.
A 19-year-old tells his mother she doesn't understand business. His mother, who's run a household, managed a budget, raised 3 children, held down a job for 20 years, remembered everybody's birthdays, dealt with the mortgage, the dentist, and the gas bill. But apparently, she doesn't understand business. He knows because last Tuesday he watched a man in a Bugatti explain discipline. And now he's walking around the house like Alan Sugar in a bloody tracksuit, telling everyone they're trapped in the Matrix because she asked him to put his bowl in the dishwasher. The conversation about Andrew Tate has been running for a few years now. Is he dangerous? Is he just loud? Is he a victim that wasn't breastfed? Is he part of the system? Should he be banned? Should he be ignored? Should everyone just stop shouting about him and have a cup of tea? As always, I'm interested in the psychology. There are 4 psychological mechanisms that explain why millions of people can find a man in a car more convincing than their own direct experience. And before anyone gets smug and decides it only applies to teenage boys online, these patterns work on all of us. The Bugatti is just the funny bit. Before we get into the mechanics, we have to talk about the audience because Tate only makes sense when you look at who he is speaking to. A lot of young men are growing up with no clear model for what a successful male identity is supposed to look like. Their dads were told, provide and protect. Their generation was told to talk about your feelings. Social media tells them women only want rich men. And the economy tell them working hard doesn't guarantee you can afford a flat with enough room to open the fridge. So you've got one message saying be strong, one saying be vulnerable, one saying be rich, and one saying if you're sad you should journal, hydrate, download an app that tells you to breathe like somehow you've forgotten. No wonder they're confused. Into the middle of all that walks Andrew Tate, topless, in sunglasses, with a cigar, or in his sports car, saying, I have the answer. And for a young man who feels lost, maybe they feel invisible, ordinary, bored, or rejected, that certainty can feel like oxygen. Because certainty is seductive when it feels chaotic. It's why here are 3 rules will nearly always beat life is complicated and context matters. Nobody wants context at 19. They want a plan, a villain, and ideally someone else to blame for why they're still living at home. Mechanism number 1, the authority hack. The first thing Tate does is establish authority before he's actually said anything useful. He doesn't start with evidence, he starts with a car. Our brains are embarrassingly easy to impress. We like to think we're rational, balanced, critically minded adults. Then somebody stands next to an expensive object and part of the brain goes, ooh, he must know something. Big car, expensive watch, confident posture, direct eye contact, no visible doubt, no awkward pause where it looks like he might have forgotten what he was saying. The brain reads all this as status before conscious thought has even caught up. We're so focused on the car, the status symbols, the I clearly know something you don't presentation, that common sense hasn't even got a look in yet. Maybe you should listen to what he's actually saying. Dude, he's got a Bugatti. Yeah, but have you got a Bugatti? No. Then shut up. In influence terms, we call this borrowed credibility. The car is doing some of the persuading. It's the same reason that somebody wearing a doctor's white coat feels more believable than somebody wearing a shirt. Even if they're saying the same thing, the information hasn't changed, it's just the outfit. The Bugatti is the doctor's white coat. And Tate has said this out loud. He's told you the image is part of the influence. The car, the money, the lifestyle, the whole performance, it's there to make you listen. So basically, he's told you how he's brainwashing you into listening to him. But maybe we should listen to the words. Dude, Bugatti. By the time your sensible brain starts asking, is any of this true? Your nervous system has already seen the car, the confidence, the certainty, and gone, high status male, pay attention. That's the first hook. His contradictions start getting interesting. He'll say the internet is finished. Everyone online is boring. Nobody has anything valuable to say, while sitting on the internet saying things to people who are watching him say them. Apparently the internet is dead, and the proof is another hour of him on it. He positions himself above the mess while being right in the middle of it. He's not doing internet drama, he's hosting it. The second mechanism is manufactured belonging, and this is where it gets much more clever. Tate doesn't just tell young men he's right, he gives them a whole world where everyone who disagrees with him has already been cast as the villain. The Matrix. The mainstream media. Women who reject you. Teachers who don't understand you. Men who question him. Parents who are apparently part of the international conspiracy because they want you to get a proper job and stop shouting top G at your nan. Once that frame is in place, criticism stops landing as criticism. So if your mum says, I don't think you should be watching this man, he doesn't seem to be a great role model, she's no longer your mum doing normal mum worrying. She's the Matrix. She's been programmed. She doesn't understand. She's probably moments away from asking you to tidy your room, which is exactly what the system would want. That's the trap. The belief protects itself. Once that frame is in place, pushback doesn't make him look wrong. It makes him look persecuted. And it creates a belonging because the followers don't feel like followers. They feel like the clever ones. They're the ones who can see through the lie. They're the ones who know exactly what's going on, while somehow all posting the same phrases and comments like they've been issued an Andrew Tate starter pack. They think they're outside the programming, but they're all saying the same thing. That's what makes the Matrix language so effective. It gives people an identity and a defense mechanism at the same time. If you agree with him, you're awake. If you disagree with him, you're programmed. If you ask for evidence, you're part of the system. If you say, I'm not part of the system, I'm just asking a question, that is exactly what someone from the system would say. You can't win. It's like arguing with someone who's made themselves referee, player, commentator, and the trophy. And that feeling of belonging is rewarding. Being part of a chosen group feels good. It works in religions, football groups, political movements, business masterminds, and school playgrounds. And then comes the really neat part. Evidence against the belief becomes evidence for the belief. The more someone criticizes him, the more the follower thinks they are trying to silence him. They're jealous, they're haters, which is kind of handy. Because if people agree with him, he's right. And if people disagree with him, he's still right. And if people ignore him, that probably means they're scared of the truth. It's a belief system where the man can't lose. And if you look at the business model, the message is, don't listen to them, listen to me. Don't let anyone else tell you what to think. Anyway, here's what I think. Escape the system. Monthly billing available. You end up with a closed loop. At best, it's an influence strategy. At worst, it's a fairly standard cult. The third mechanism is where dependency starts getting built. Listen to the rhythm. You're weak, you can be strong. You're pathetic, you can be powerful. You're a loser, you can be saved. It's insult, rescue, insult, rescue, insult, rescue. 1 minute, he makes you feel small. The next minute, he offers you a way to feel powerful. That back and forth is so important because if somebody only insults you, you leave. If somebody praises you, you don't need them. But if they make you feel bad, then offer you the cure, you start going back to the same place for relief. It's like being thrown on the floor and then sold the hand that helps you back up. In psychology, we call that intermittent reinforcement. The reward doesn't come in a steady, predictable way. It comes in hits. A bit of shame, then a bit of hope. A bit of an attack, then a bit of identity. That pattern can become much more gripping because the brain keeps waiting for the next moment of relief. It's the same broad principle as a fruit machine. You don't keep playing because it pays out every time. You keep playing because it might. So when Tate's content flips between shame and promise, it creates a loop. 1 minute you're being told you're soft, lazy, addicted to comfort, and basically one lie-in away from total masculine collapse. Then the next minute you're told you can ascend, become dangerous, become respected, become the man you were supposed to be. The shame creates the need, the promise gives the direction, and then very conveniently, the direction often involves consuming more of his content. Maybe a course or a community, a mastermind. Or maybe just another video where a man in sunglasses and no top tells you your life is falling apart because you're not aggressive enough. And the contradictions are interesting. He'll say, don't listen to women, and then talk about women for 40 minutes. And for a man who doesn't care what women think, he has a lot of office hours on the subject. He'll say everyone lies, then ask you to trust him. He'll say society wants to control you, then give you rules for what to think, who to listen to, what to value, what to ignore, how to behave, and which group to join. Be free! But here's an approved list of thoughts. He'll tell men to become strong while making them come back every day to be told whether they're still weak. That's the emotional hook. Because if the only person who can tell you you're powerful is also the person who keeps telling you you're pathetic, you don't become free. You become dependent. And the criticism doesn't weaken the bond with the influencer as much as people think. Sometimes it strengthens it. When everyone else is calling you gullible, angry, lost, or radicalized, the person saying, I understand you, bro, starts to feel like the one on your side. That's the loop. Shame, promise, belonging, repeat. If you like this kind of breakdown, subscribe. This is the Human Behaviour Files, where we look at the patterns behind what people do, how those patterns get installed, and how behaviour can actually be changed. The fourth mechanism is the one that makes the whole thing feel personal. Tate talks directly to camera. They don't want you to hear this. The system doesn't want you thinking like this. Men will never understand what I'm about to tell you. And when somebody looks into the camera and speaks like that, the brain doesn't process it like a newspaper article. It feels more personal than that. It feels like he's talking to you, which is why parasocial relationships are so effective. A person on screen can start to feel familiar, trusted, almost known, even though they don't know your name, your face, or anything about your life. And Tate uses that direct address brilliantly.
Do you actually, truly believe in your heart that you can escape the Matrix? Do you believe you can do what I have done?
He talks to 20 million men like he's pulled them outside of a nightclub and gone, listen, brother, they don't want you to know this. It's personal, it's secret, it's urgent. And somehow it's also available to everyone with Wi-Fi. Forbidden knowledge, mass-produced. You're one of the few, just you and 20 other million chosen ones. You're not just watching videos in your boxer shorts at 1 a.m. pretending you're about to start a business. You're part of something. You're a soldier. You're one of the few who gets it. And for a young man who already feels rejected by society, who feels invisible, who feels vulnerable, that feeling can be intoxicating. Because suddenly he isn't just a lad in his room watching clips. He's awake. He's chosen. He's part of the brotherhood. He's been trusted with knowledge that the rest of us apparently can't handle. Even though most of it seems to involve women, money, cars, and getting angry. And again, look at the contradiction. He talks about independence while selling the brotherhood. He talks about not needing approval while performing status all day. He talks about escaping control while building a system people have to keep returning to. He talks about being above the internet while feeding the internet every day. It's the influencer version of saying, I'm leaving this group chat, and then sending 17 more messages explaining why. The cars, the cigars, the casinos, the speeches about women, the constant everyone else's stupid routine, all of it is the costume. The product is identity. He isn't only selling advice. He's selling a version of you that feels stronger than the one sitting in your room on your own, scrolling. Tate walked into the mess of a young boy's mind and said, you're not lost, you're under attack, you're not confused, you've been lied to. You're not struggling because life is complicated. You're struggling because you have been weakened. And once you accept the story, he also becomes the solution. It's like somebody setting your kitchen on fire, then selling you a smoke alarm. So what to do if your son is watching this content? Shouting, why are you watching this idiot at a young boy will fail. He's been prepared for that. The second you say it, you become part of the group who doesn't understand. You become the Matrix. You're asking him to empty the dishwasher while he's a busy millionaire in his head. And this is where parents, partners, and professionals often get it wrong. They attack the influencer, which only makes the young man defend him more. They mock the content, which only makes the young man feel stupid. A better question is, what are you getting from this that you're not getting elsewhere? Because the needs underneath all of this aren't automatically wrong. Purpose, structure, discipline, direction, respect, a sense of significance. Those are all human needs. They had just been packaged, branded, monetized, and delivered by an average man in a Bugatti. If Tate disappeared tomorrow, the vacuum would still be there. Someone else would step into it, maybe with a different car. Andrew Tate is meeting a need. And once you understand that, the whole thing becomes much easier to see. The authority hack, the manufactured belonging, the shame and rescue loop, the feeling of being chosen. That is the machine. The Bugatti, no shirt and cigar, just gets your attention. And once it has your attention, common sense is still stood at the back going, should we listen to the words? Dude, Bugatti!